Hello, this is Ryan with RTH Guitars. Lately I've been on a bit of a side quest exploring drums and bearing edges, and today we're going to talk about snare beds. So, I was given this Blue Sparkle snare drum. It's a Luon shell, and the bearing edges weren't so great. The snare beds were like a gash, very narrow, not even on center with the butt plate and snare, so I thought I'd redo it. And I was looking up how to do a snare bed and came across the idea of an infinite snare bed, and I thought that sounds pretty cool. And I was scratching my head thinking, well, maybe I could do that on my CNC machine or something like that. And then I came across the idea, or came up with the idea, inspired by how you do sandpaper pulls when you reset an acoustic guitar neck. I thought that's a real simple way to do that. So I'm going to share that with you today. So first, let's start by talking about what an infinite snare bed is. It's basically the idea of widening out your snare bed to the point where if you look at the drum and side profile, with your snares running across this way, the whole shell is one gradual curve. And the idea of that is that your head will be a pretty even tension all the way across there. I thought that sounds pretty cool. It's supposed to work good with low tunings. This is a 6-lug snare. I thought, well, those are better for low tunings, so the two would go well together. So, how to do that? You see, I've got tape at the midpoint of my drum, kind of marking the side that I'm going to be working on, and the center point, perpendicular to the snare, so run across here. And start with a drum shell that's already been trued up on my flat surface. This is a 1/2 inch piece of plexiglass, and I had 3 more sheets of this purple 60 grit sandpaper taped to it when I trued up the edges, which basically do the spinning around thing, true up the edges. And there's plenty of videos about that, so I won't waste too much time talking about it. So let's get into carving an infinite snare bed. So I started off by taking my calipers and measuring the deepest spot on my existing snare bed. And then I took that measurement and made a mark at each edge of where basically kind of wanted the edge of the deepest spot to be. Put a pencil mark across there, so I had a depth mark to sand down to. All right, so once I did that on the butt plate side and the strainer side, the next thing you do is you take, where I've got the blue tape here, my midpoint of the shell, set that right at the edge of the sandpaper. Doesn't have to be exact, but pretty close. And you push out to sand, right? In several strokes. This shell's already done, but you keep pushing from the middle here out. Check to see if you're at your depth. And what is happening here is because you're starting at the edge of the sandpaper here and pushing out, your center part here gets sanded less than the outboard edge, eventually creating a curve. That's similar to how they do sandpaper pulls to rock an acoustic guitar neck back when they reset the neck. That's where I got the idea from. So you do one side, sand it down to your depth, turn it around, same thing, push, push, keep it straight, push, okay? Doesn't take many strokes, and eventually you end up with a shell that, if you set it on the center points like this, will rock back and forth, and in profile from the side has a crown. Now, if you wanted to do a less extreme version of this, you can put your tape marks here and here and start further in on the shell and push out and do it. That would work too. What you end up with is a nice curved profile that changes gradually. Now take it to my router table and cut my bearing edges on it. There you go. An easy way to cut an infinite bearing edge, or infinite snare bed. And yeah, thanks. Ryan with RTH Guitars. Talk to you later.